Something like that. Yeah, there we go. I hate when I have to do that.
New Black Wall Street Book Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
Hey, good afternoon to you, kings and queens. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. And you put in a book, we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book that's back there, The Black Billionaires Club. It's a study of Black wealth, people. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just truly believe it. If you want to be wealthy, that's a big if. But if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. Well, you can get that book and begin your study by simply going to the website www.theblackbillionairesclub.com, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com. You'll find that book. You'll find this shirt so you can support as well. With the Black Folk Do Read t-shirt also at that website. And so go ahead and check us out. You'll be able to get the book in hard, soft copy, also ebook, and it's available in French for our brothers and sisters that are from that are in the diaspora who might speak French as well. Well, today, guys, we're going to continue along in our journey. The book that we're reading now is What Makes Your Great Great by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. And I want to let you know ahead of time the book that we're going to be picking up next, because we're almost done with this, probably in about 2 weeks. That book is called Black Fortunes. It's a story of the first 6 African Americans who escaped slavery and became millionaires. The first 6 African Americans who escaped slavery and became millionaires. So that's the book we're going to be picking up next. So you can go ahead and start, loading up so you're ready as we continue along with the New Black Wall Street Book Club. And so I want to say thanks so much for being here. Hit the like button, the share button, let people know that we're here. It does help for you guys that are on YouTube to subscribe as well. And we're just going to keep this thing going. We're going to start today with our affirmation of the day. Our affirmation of the day. Now, today is September 9th, and we're still here. And I found this affirmation to it just really helped this morning. So I hope it helps us this afternoon. Our affirmation of the day. This is our appetizer. I call it affirmation appetizer of the day. And it simply says this, and you can repeat after me. Double A, what's going on? How are you? Thanks so much for joining, Queen. Today, I will take a few moments to relax and center my thoughts. Today, I will take a few moments to relax and center my thoughts. Now, here's my question to you, those that are joining us live today, or those that might watch the replay. What does this affirmation mean to you? Today, I will take a few moments, maybe those few moments in the morning, maybe those few moments on your lunch break, maybe those few moments on your other breaks. But I'll take a few moments to what? To relax and center my thoughts. And so I actually had to do this today. I was like, it's Monday. It's a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of catching up from over the weekend. I had to take a few moments before I got started here and just relax and center my thoughts. And so our affirmations are something that we want to allow to take root into our subconscious. And then we grow and develop this thing and hopefully becomes a habit over time as we keep repeating it over and over and over again. We're going to repeat this one more time because I think it's so important, so valuable for us today, especially on a moving, hustling and bustling Monday. Let's do it one more time, kings and queens. Repeat after me. This time, say it like you mean it. Say it for the people in the back. Shout it out if you have to. Repeat after me. Today, I will take a few moments to relax and center my thoughts. Everybody put in the comments below, relax. I'll take a few moments to relax and center my thoughts. That's our appetizer affirmation of the day, coming out of the book, coming out of the book, Daily Motivations for African American Success. That's our appetizer, our affirmation appetizer of the day, coming out of the book, Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. Now, let's get into the meat of our day today as we are continuing along in our journey. Our meat is what makes the great great. What makes the great great? And we're into chapter 7, which is the greatest victory, triumph of the human spirit. Greatest victory, triumph of the human spirit. And we are continuing along into the section called the School of Hard Knocks. The School of Hard Knocks. Let's read. The best tools receive their temper from fire, their edge from grinding. The noblest characters are developed in a similar way. The harder the diamond, the more brilliant the sparkle, and the greater the friction necessary to bring it out. Only its own dust is hard enough to make this most precious stone reveal its full beauty. From an aimless, idle, and useless soul, opposition also calls out powers and virtues otherwise unknown and unsuspected. Many times, greatness will not make its entrance until adversity has paved the way. The prison, for example, has aroused the slumbering fire of many a noble mind. The philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey made its appearance while the author stood trial in New York. A cold, damp prison cell would be the platform from which a famed Muslim minister would come full circle from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X. Solitary refinement stilled Nelson Mandela. What did not kill him made him stronger. And even his enemies were forced to agree. It was a long walk to freedom. And one spring day, written in the sweltering heat of injustice, the world received a letter from a Birmingham jail. In it, we were told it's much more important to be a human being than to be either black or white. When the Creator wants to educate a man or woman, he does not send his star pupil to the Academy of Social Graces, but rather he enrolls the candidate in the School of Hard Knocks. We are not aware of the power within us until we face great adversity. A Goliath that must be conquered. As soon as the young eagle can fly, the seasoned birds thrust it out and tear the bark and leaves from its nest. This rough and tumble treatment of the tiny creature molds it and shapes it, permitting it to become the bold king of birds, fierce and hardened as it pursues its prey. At this point, it is fit to become the symbol of a nation. Men and women who are bound out, crowded out, kicked out, forced out, and kept out usually turn out, while those who do not have these disadvantages frequently fail to come out. The world admires the man or woman who never flinches from unexpected difficulties, who calmly, patiently, and courageously grapples with his or her fate, who dies, if need be, at his or her post. Clear grit always commands respect. Clear grit always commands respect. Adversity has its advantages. It will help you decide what you really believe. Through the pit and the dungeon, Joseph came to the throne. It was the belly of a whale that provided Jonah with the altar to preach his greatest sermon. Under the yoke of colonialism, Jomo Kenyatta rose to lead a people to recapture their greatness. On the picket lines, Dorothy Height marched toward her date with destiny because She sang in the cancer ward. Minnie Riperton died with a song in her heart. Once an astonishing blend of power and speed for nearly 3 years, Bo Jackson absorbed the pain of a shattering hip that cut short his baseball and football careers. One of the paintings that made Romar Bearden famous rested on his easel for more than 5 years. Susan Taylor, alone with no money, no car, and barely a step ahead of her creditors, owing thousands more than she possessed, believed in herself when no one else would. She got in tune with the infinite and made her own way when she could not find one that already existed. Carol Moseley Braun sprung from a despised and disdained race without opportunity, pushed her way up through the classes until she stood toe-to-toe, eye to eye with the scions of political and social power, scoffed, ridiculed, and rebuffed. On the United States Senate floor, she simply said, "The day will come when all of America will hear me. Oh, the triumphs of the indomitable spirit." In Revelation, it is written, "He that overcometh, I will give him to sit down with me on my throne." Ernest Hemingway said that the world breaks all of us, and we grow stronger in the broken places. Our strength, Emerson insisted, grows out of weakness. Not until we are pricked and stung and sorely shot at awakens the indignation which arms itself with secret forces. The world is no longer clay, but rather iron in the hands of its workers. Men and women have got to hammer out a place for themselves by steady and rugged blows. Adversity is the breeding ground for miracles. Adversity is the breeding ground for miracles. Never despair, wrote the philosopher and writer Edmund Burke. But if you do, work on in despair. If you only knock long enough and loud enough at the gate, Longfellow advised, you are sure to wake up somebody. Samuel Johnson, the early American college president, agreed. Few things are impossible to diligence. Great works are performed not by strength, but perseverance. Foxwell Buxton, a 19th century English abolitionist, said in one of his emotionally charged lectures, "The longer I live, the more certain I am that the great difference between men and women, between the feeble and the powerful, the great and the insignificant, is energy, invincible determination, a purpose once fixed, then death or victory." Earl Grey said this, "Don't let me ever hear you use the word impossible. If I learned anything over the course of my career, there's no such thing as impossible. Overnight, the impossible may not be possible, but over time," everybody put a comments on over time, "but over time, the impossible certainly becomes possible." Earl Grey, of course, he's the one that wrote, who started Black Enterprise Magazine. I'm back in here. The School of Hard Knocks. We are often told that life is a journey. And teachers and philosophers use the phrase incessantly. And you can hear it in a number of motivational talks. Life is a journey. It sounds so practical and so simplistic. Yet it means that we must struggle tooth and nail and work years upon end to claim success. Champions are rarely chosen from the ranks of the unscarred. Champions are rarely chosen from the ranks of the unscarred. Now, I find it very interesting how most of the great men and women, the leaders that we may consider to be leaders in our history, have all probably have been to jail for some particular reason, but they've all gone through something, which is why we probably idolize them in such a way because they were able to overcome. I don't know anybody that I can think of that I'm like, wow, this is such a great person, and I never have seen them go through anything. I just don't think I know of anybody that I consider to be a mentor of mine or someone I look up to or role model that just had the easy way. I don't think there is an easy way, but I can't think of anyone that has not gone through something and overcome it, and their triumph, their stick-to-itiveness is really the main reason why I admire them the most. Not because of what they have, but because of the fortitude that they had to continue on, to finish the race, to complete the task, regardless of what stood in their way. What about you? What about you? But Jack Johnson said, yes, absolute best high performers during adversity. Jack Johnson said, amen, I'm good, man of God. Grace and peace, absolutely. And that was the School of Hard Knocks. Everybody put in the comments, School of Hard Knocks. But I'm sure that you have, if you're not currently going through the hard knocks, you've been through the hard knocks. And I'm pretty sure you understand that as you continue to move forward towards your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, there's more hard knocks to come. Now, I believe that hard knocks actually comes just to mold us, to shape us, to help us to learn what we don't know. Because for many of us, we might think a little bit too highly of ourselves. And sometimes life has to humble you itself. That's right. Sometimes life has to humble us because we won't humble ourselves. Just for us to know that in and of ourselves, we can do nothing. In and of ourselves, we are absolutely nothing. In and of ourselves. But thank God that He will use little vessels like us to change the world, to make a difference, to help someone else. But in and of ourselves, we are subpar at best. But for many of us, we have to be stricken. Our ego has to be stricken by life to humble us so that we can be a better vessel to carry a message for the rest of the world. School of Hard Knocks. The greatest challenge. The greatest challenge. In 1978, Alicia Page confronted the three most obvious truths about her life. She was Black, a female, and by her own choosing, out of work. Compounding these matters was that after working 35 years within a number of library systems, she had had enough. Avon, Massachusetts, the city where she was employed, was caught in a spending freeze, trying to compensate for past economic sins. The city had tried to stave off fiscal disaster by using a series of constraining guidelines that had turned a once pleasant career into sheer torture. And as if this was not enough, Paige faced other heartbreaks. A 16-year marriage dissolved and her only sister died. She was worn down both mentally and physically. To take her mind off her personal tragedy, she did the only thing that she knew how to do. She threw herself into the task at hand. Paige loved books and enjoyed helping others, an apparent offshoot of her upbringing, which had stressed education. Her parents were West Indian immigrants who thought the road to success was paved with academics and effort. Her father had the greatest impact Though his sixth grade education didn't take him beyond a job as a janitor, she admired his work ethic. He worked from 5 in the morning until 10 at night to provide as best as he could, she remembers. For that, I will always be grateful. As part of her routine duties as head cataloger for a suburban library branch, Paige secured books and journals through the statewide and interlibrary loan system. Though it was a useful service to his borrowers, the process was cumbersome, a heap of paperwork to keep up with, and proved more of a hassle than anything else. Users wanted books yesterday, and librarians had no idea as to the general availability of requested materials. Paige brainstormed. Wouldn't it be nice, she thought. Everybody putting the comments, well, would it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice, she thought, if all our library holdings were computerized on one easily accessible database? She thought each library in the system should have a CRT interconnected to statewide archives by phone. Designing such a program and inputting the necessary data would be quite a chore, but in the long run, an efficient time saver. Now, I know you must be wondering why I asked you to put in the comments below, wouldn't it be nice? The reason why is because I believe that you have had a wouldn't it be nice moment as well. I believe that you've gone through some things, you've seen some stuff, some problems here in the world, and you said, wouldn't it be nice if? And that was $1 million idea for you. But maybe unlike Paige, you had that wouldn't it be nice moment. And maybe unlike Paige, you didn't do anything with it. But we're going to find out what Miss Alicia Paige did in 1978 with her wouldn't it be nice moment. Wouldn't it be nice if? Paige shared her ideas with co-workers who thought her dream was a bit far-fetched. If it could be done, one rationalized, someone would have to certainly do it. And besides, another scoffed, you're a librarian. What do you know about computers? With her ingrained ladylike shyness, her first inclination was to agree. But she continued to mull the idea over. They're right. What do I know about computers? However, as the days wore on, she shrugged off her critics. Her restless energy, her vision wouldn't die. At age 57, she held a torch to her future. Her once orderly life was about to encounter massive change. Age 57. Something's about to happen in this woman's life at age 57 with her new wouldn't it be nice moment, which is a wild idea, which typically turns into $1 million. Okay? Her dream wouldn't die. Now, how many of you guys that are watching here live today, you have had a dream, you have had an idea that simply won't die? I mean, you've been trying to kill it, you've been trying to ignore it, you've been trying to, kind of let it go, but for some reason, it just simply won't die. After witnessing the degree of her commitment, 2 older brothers urged her to press forward. Though their words of inspiration were uplifting, they were completely caught off guard for what happened next. Paige burned every bridge. She quit her job and wrote a sketchy proposal. Unaware of federal assistance programs and refusing to borrow money, she told her 3-bedroom home and threw the $60,000 profit behind her company, which she ambitiously named Computer Engineering Associates. It was all or nothing. And I knew if the business did not prosper and quickly, I'd go under. It was an eerie feeling. Breathing a sigh of relief, she then asked with no exaggeration, I never thought of just a small business. I thought if I was going to start a company, I might as well go big. Everybody putting it on, so I might as well go big. She said, if I'm going to start this thing, I might as well go big. I always had a vision of where my enterprise was going to go. With a freshly printed brochure and a handful of business cards, Paige turned to her former employer, the public library system, in hope of selling her services. But times were tight and businesses, government included, were retrenching. Not only did the recession have Avon, Massachusetts backpedaling, but the entire metro area was stapled to a sputtering economy. There were few listeners and definitely no buyers. Moreover, during her many conversations with would-be clients, and despite the high-tech hyperbole, each confirmed that what she already knew. At best, she had a layperson's knowledge of information systems. No client in his right mind would contract with a consultant who knew less than he did about computer systems. So what if I had no experience with telecommunications or running a business, she said, recalling her feelings at the time. You don't have to know how to make steel to own a steel mill. I am confident I had a good idea. Paige knew she could learn from others. Paige knew she could learn from others. So we're retracing the story of Lisa Page, who worked for a public library system, had a wouldn't it be nice moment, which was an idea. And at age 57, she basically sold all that she had and threw it into her business. And now she's trying to find clients for her business. And they're like, well, you're not really qualified. That's basically what it just told her. You're not qualified to do this. And her response was, so what if I have no experience? You don't have to know how to make steel in order to own a steel mill. I was confident I had a good idea. Now, I think the most key thing here is that she was confident in her idea, regardless of her inexperience, because she can hire, in those places where she may be weak. But she was confident confident to the point where she sold everything that she had. She went all in. Now, here's what I want to say. Too many of us are riding the fence. We know we have a good idea, but we're not really willing to go all in. Everybody putting goes all in. Now, this doesn't just go for ideas. This goes for a lot of things in life. Well, we know it might be good over here. We know we've got the right relationship. We got the best that we've been able to find, but we're not ready to go all in. How many of you have been in situations where if you just simply would have went all in, if you'd have got rid of the plan B, the plan C, the plan 59, you stop asking all the questions. I see too many people asking so many questions, and you just said, you know what? I'm going for it. This is my moment. I know I have a good idea. Let me go all in. And stop thinking about what could go wrong and start thinking about all the things that could go right. And live with the results. I took a chance. I went all in. And here is where I am today. Not enough people are willing to take the risk on themselves. Not enough people are willing to bet on the very big ideas of what would happen if moments that God is giving you. And so you stay stuck. Because you're not willing to get off the fence. Humpty Dumpty, sat on the wall. Well, Miss Page here says, you know what? I'm confident that I have a good idea. One hurdle at a time. One hurdle at a time. For the next 18 months, Paige developed a steep learning curve. She scrambled too close to close the loop in her level of expertise. 7 days a week, virtually 24 hours a day. When she wasn't peddling her idea, her nose was stuck in a book related to computing, programming, or both. To free up her time, she combed for a secretary to handle light correspondence and anchor her office, a one-room storefront on Avon's main strip, but an ad in a local newspaper netted a brainy high-tech standout instead, who was looking for fresh opportunities. Stanley Zavatsky, a former vice president of a computer firm, believed in her ideas and asked to join her team. Page leveled with him. I told him I couldn't afford to pay him 1/10 of what he was used to earning. He smiled and said he wasn't looking for a salary. So in a matter of minutes, we hammered out a deal. He put in a few grand. I, in turn, sold him 20% of the business. Page and Zavatsky complement each other well. Everybody put a console compliment. He's a deep thinker, a bit of an introvert, and can iron out the toughest problems associated with automated data processing. The energetic Page, on the other hand, meshes well with prospective clients. Where she is lacking in experience and know-how, he's a real whiz. Together, they scrapped the plan of automating library systems and opted for a full-blown, full-service computer support company instead. Page caught a glimpse of the big picture and assembled a high technical staff, a mathematician, a systems analyst, and a programmer. She and her partner transformed CEA into a firm that could troubleshoot, perform feasibility studies, link computer systems, and custom design programs with a personalized touch. Moreover, she's never been shy about keeping her business afloat. CEA's success, she now realizes, depended on qualifying for the federal S8A program that helps Black-owned businesses bid for government and military contracts. Hoping to be added to its bidding list, she bombarded the government with 25,000 pieces of mail, and as a backup, even contacted Massachusetts Senator Paul Tsongas. For all her effort, she received a lukewarm response. Angry that she was being overlooked, Page played out a hunch. She and an associate, John Solomon, drove to a neighboring Hanscom Air Force Base in Bedford to introduce her firm. There they met with Field Commander Jim Stansberry, a 2-star general pushing for a 3rd star. General Stansberry was receptive but blunt. He gave Page a classified list of contract officers and a warning. We'll give you a chance, but if you fall short of the terms of any agreement, I'll personally see to it that your company never gets another piece of government business again. Page forced a smile, collected her papers, and shook Stansberry's hand. Somewhat confident, she and Solomon were headed out of the commander's office when his phone rang. On the end of the line was one of Stansberry's subordinates in West Germany with bad news. An 8A supplier had botched a cable link-up job. To complicate matters, the project was running grossly over budget and behind schedule. Solomon, who had watched quietly, saw the commander's heart sink in every word. While the general jotted down in particular, Solomon gave Page a slight belt to her ribs and murmured, "We can do the work." Stansberry overheard his remark and blinked hard. "What did you say?" Solomon straightened his tie, peered at a quizzical Page, and replied, "I said, we can do the work, sir." This was the breakthrough Page had desperately sought. Everybody put in the console, breakthrough. This was the breakthrough that Page had earnestly sought. Stansberry told his caller he would solve the problem and hung up the phone. He then turned his full attention back to his visitors and told them what the job entailed. As Page read the spec sheet, she wouldn't commit until her team saw the job in question firsthand. When asked about the coy move, she would later reply, "So many AA firms say they can do everything. Well, obviously, this one couldn't. If I don't feel comfortable that we can complete a project, I don't sign on, no matter how much I need the business." In the following weeks, Page sent 2 of her staff to Germany for an assessment. In a few days, they called with good news. Not only could CEA do the work, but they could complete the job within the original time frame. So let's take a look at here what just kind of happened here. She started out, Miss Page started out with a, well, what do you think? Well, I forgot what I said. What did she say? Well, I had this moment. Let me find it. Wouldn't it be nice? She had a wouldn't it be nice moment that led to an idea, right? And that idea originally was for to be able to kind of take care of some stuff for the library system, which we now see is in place. She went to work on this idea. And along the way, or along the journey of this idea, that idea began what I call refining the idea. She didn't have much money, but she was able to find someone to work with. She gave up a percentage of her company to work with Mr. Savonsky. And along the way, they started to refine or redevelop the company itself. Now they start going after government contracts. Didn't get much help there, but God. That's all you can say is but God. But they went to a place. She was urged to go to the base, talk to the commander, walked out with probably one job, but then he was on the phone having a conversation. Next thing you know, he needed help in the area, in another area. And now she's there about to get this job. It's something about this woman who was confident in her idea that she went all in on her business. And you know what? I can relate to this. I really can, because I'm kind of at that stage myself where I'm like, man, I know I got a good idea. I mean, I'll be having a whole bunch of good ideas, but I'll be like, I know this is a good idea. But then the next step is to determine, am I confident enough in this idea to go all in? Am I confident enough in this good idea that I have to go all in? Now, all in looks different for different people. All in looks different depending on where you are in life. It's all in. It may not be that you sell everything like Paige did, but she was willing to go all in because of her confidence in her idea. And now we're reading about what's happening from the seeds that she sown to the fruit that she reaped. I was tougher than I thought. I was tougher than I thought. Less than 3 months later, Paige beamed as an ecstatic General Stansberry read their report. And to top it all off, by completing the project under budget, she hand-delivered a $37,000 check made payable to the United States Air Force. A mixture of naivety and savvy that delighted military brass more accustomed to cost overruns. In this business, that is almost unheard of, she admits. Standard operating procedures is to take whatever you can lay your hands on. Based on my openness and honesty, I was poor-mouthed by my competitors. They questioned my sanity and made remarks like, Paige, you must be crazy. You're a small businessman. You need all the money you can get. I just said, I want you to know that I'm in business to succeed. As for your information, I'm neither small nor am I a businessman. Paige is used to doing battle for what she believes in. And her story has a deeper message. That gesture brought us an additional $7 million in business. We became known throughout the government as the company that gives back change. Far too many entrepreneurs lose dollars, watch this, while watching dimes. Far too many entrepreneurs lose dollars while watching dimes. Wow, what a quote. Paige's big gamble on CEA is now paying off in terms of both profits and recognition. In 1986, she accepted the Small Business Administration's Award for Excellence. Her company now employs 33 programmers and technicians who custom design software and databases for select clients. No longer relying on the government for its 8A program, CEA has customers that include GTE, Raytheon, RCA, Goodyear Tire and Rubber, Pillsbury, American Express, and Westinghouse. At last count, her firm was about to exceed $10 million in revenues. With the lean years behind, Paige took a moment to reflect. She was on the verge of tears as she recounted her enormous gamble. I spent the first 4 years hanging on by my fingernails. The experience was riveting. I really don't know when things started to turn around. You work hard, you're in the midst of things, and when suddenly you look and you're standing in a pool of liquid gold. Tenacity is what I've learned about myself. I found out that I was tougher than I thought. Few stories are this dramatic. A 57-year-old Black woman with little knowledge of prior experience in an industry soaked with competition bet the ranch on herself and won. Determination is part of her success, but she also drew upon faith and ingenuity when she had nothing else left. In enterprise, as in technology, the single vision prevails. Consensus gives way to the man or woman who is willing to succeed. And a warm embrace of what is truly possible doesn't hurt. The story of Alicia Page proves again, as if proof were still necessary, that progress and achievement are the results of grit and diligence. The story of Alicia Page, a 57-year-old Black woman, is proof that progress and achievement are the result of grit and diligence. This is the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in a book, like What Makes the Great Great, and we absolutely will find it. Hopefully today you understand why I like reading books like this. I mean, to hear about a woman in 1970 something, 1960 something, whatever it is, 1978, a Black woman back then, and still true today, one of the hardest people to actually make. She's black and a woman in society, who relied on grit and diligence to go from nothing with a good idea to something, $10 million in revenue in 1986. Now, if you think about that, 1978 to 1986, that's only 9 years. She said the first 4 years she was barely making, she just hung on. And she said, I don't know when it turned around. I just kept working hard. And in the latter 5 years, she went from barely hanging on to blowing up with her company. I want that to sink in. It only took 9 years. Many of us have been holding on to this dream and thinking about this idea for more than 9 years. But the difference is, Alicia Page, she bet on herself and was confident in her idea, enough so to go all in on what she believed in. I guess that begs the question, billionaires. Are you confident enough to go all in on what you believe in? I'm inspired by Alicia Page, and I hope that you are too. It's not this is a real life story. It's not make believe. This actually happened in history, and we get a chance to hear about Black history that we have never heard of, simply by choosing a book that many of us may not have chosen to read. What Makes the Great Great? Well, beautiful people, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. Hope that you got a lot out of it. This will become our podcast tomorrow as well, within 24 hours. So you can check out our podcast across all different platforms. If you want to hear this again or hear it for the first time, you can check us out across all different platforms, from Google to Apple to Stitcher to Spotify, when you look for the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Plenty of episodes to keep you motivated, inspired throughout your day. New Black Wall Street Book Club, Reading Rainbow 2.0. I want you to remember this, that it takes a village. It starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, people. Matter of fact, we all we need. And thank God that that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club. With your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us to go. Yeah. Now, you ain't got to leave the computer, but we encourage you to get out there and learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street.